Hey guys, what's up? This is going to be the first episode of a series I want to start for the Strat Bunker. Um, Probably going to call it something like Strat of the Week. Although I don't think it's going to be every week because my builds are somewhat limited. I can't exactly teach you guys one every week. I'll run out pretty fast. But this is going to be another TvP opening, and it's going to be an aggressive opener that transitions well into bio. Last time at our coaching session, I taught you guys an aggressive mech opener against Protoss, and Sam showed you guys the really standard 1-Rax opening against Protoss. And this time it's going to be more aggressive, except instead of transitioning into mech after it, it's going to be bio. And it's basically going to be a build that Teja did, I believe, in the WCS. And I thought it was a pretty cool build, and I've tried it out on the ladder. This is a Masters level game on the North American server, by the way, so just to let you guys know, it is viable and all the way up to the pro level, and even a measly amateur like me in Masters can execute it decently. And it is going to be a gas first opening here, going for a refinery on 12. If you guys didn't catch that, it was the supply depot on 10, pretty standard stuff. And you're going to want to throw down your barracks at the 13 supply mark, when you have the minerals, of course. And what this is going to be is basically a, sorry about that, basically going to be a marine mine medevac drop to control the ramp while you have two Hellions trying to poke in at the natural to see what kind of damage they can get done. And in terms of scouting, I do want to send out a scouting SCV at the 15 supply mark, because that's usually when my barracks finishes, and I send the SCV that was building barracks over to scout, but this time my barracks was delayed, so I do send out a different SCV here. And I see this probe coming in. That's pretty standardly timed probe scout here. Nothing too fishy at all. And the fact that you got a 12 refinery den 13 barracks means that you can squeeze out an extra SCV before you want to go into the orbital. So at 16 supply, you go into the orbital command here. Then you start a marine. As soon as you have enough minerals, you go for the factory here. And my SCV going over here to scout my opponent's base. What you want to scout in the early game against the Protoss is how many gases they've secured and how many guys are mining off them, because if they have double gas and they're both saturated by 3 guys each, that usually means they want to tech up early and either be aggressive or even sometimes proxy something, which is when the pylon count starts to get important. I do see him throw down a third pylon, as well as he only has 1 gas, so first of all he won't tech that quick, and the fact that he has a third pylon in base means that there's pretty much no way he could have proxied. And also, there are 1 gas 4 gates out there, but I saw his chrono boost and it was pretty low, so I'm not too afraid at all of any sort of 4 gate. But I do keep my SCV at the front here to try and go for a secondary scout into the natural to see if he has expanded. Looks like this zealot is making its way down to my base. Shouldn't be too big of a deal though. And by the way, after the factory, you start a starport command straight away. You make a widow mine, and you have constant marine production behind this. Obviously SCV production as well as depot production is constant here. Looks like this zealot's going to pop up, but 4 marines and a widow mine are definitely going to hold this, and he just runs away, which is a good choice. And after the initial widow mine, you want to start making Hellions, because this times it out so you have 2 Hellions when your push moves out, and a medevac started at the starport as soon as possible as well. And yeah, pretty much when you push out, you want to add a command center on the low ground and 2 more barracks to start your transition into the standard bio mid-game. It looks like my SCV is going in at the 5:30 mark to scout out what's going on in natural. I see the Nexus. I'm feeling pretty good. This looks like a pretty standardly timed Nexus. I don't even want to go into the main because, I mean, saving this SCV is pretty nice. I will come back to my base and start mining there. And the fact that I started on 1 base, delaying my command center a bit, going for 1-on-1 setup before my natural command center, means that my SCV count is lower than it could be, but it's not too big of a deal. And you add a tech lab on the barracks as soon as your push leaves, and I do have a command center building over here, as I said before. And my Hellion does spot this zealot, so as long as I micro this properly, this zealot should go down. The problem is though, my opponent does see my medevac and the 2 Hellions, so you should be expecting some sort of pressure pretty soon. Behind this, I add 2 more barracks. I do this deliberately before I start this pressure, because I know I don't have the APM to really do micro this as well as build the structures back at home. So it looks like I drop over here. Widowmine not getting the most cost-efficient hit there. I should have probably targeted on that one because that initial stalker was going to go down anyways, and the Hellions do get pushed back because the foot and overcharge is used. At this point, I feel like this pressure isn't going to do too much more, so I will pull out pretty soon. And keeping these two Hellions alive is pretty nice, just because I will be able to do a secondary drop into the main here to try and pick off some more probes and pin my opponent back, so I can safely secure this natural expansion as well as have my infrastructure really start to kick in. If I don't pressure him now, I will run the risk of taking a lot of damage to some form of counter swing, because as you can see, my bunker is just now finishing. I have one Marine, and these units are still out here, so they will move into the mineral line here to see what they can get done. Another important thing to note about being aggressive like this in the early game is that you really get to see what your opponent's base layout looks like, as well as what units they have, so you kind of know what they could possibly do and have it into the mid game. I see he has 2 gateways and a robotics facility, so I'm not afraid of any sort of real all-in, because I mean, by this time they would have had a lot more infrastructure down if they did want to go for some sort of all-in off 2 base. And at this point I am just kind of feeling pretty safe. I pin my opponent back. I know what his unit composition looks like. I know that his army isn't too big, and I should be able to defend this natural pretty nicely. And now I have the 2 command center, 3 barracks, and 1 starport set up. I do add the double engineering base because I know that doing early pressure like that really kind of delays your upgrades, and getting double engineering bay out in the mid game really helps you out, cranking those upgrades out really fast. And this whole time I am basically just producing Marines. Saving that medevac from the drop is pretty important, because this medevac just provides such good healing into the mid game for your bio, and allows you to do a lot more follow-up drops as well as pressure at the front. And as you can see, I am repairing up this medevac. It's pretty important to repair up your mechanical units when they come back home, because they will be a lot more efficient if they are healed up properly here. And my follow-up is going to be to try and see what time he takes his third. Looks like he is building it pretty fast here, which is kind of risky, but I guess that's good for me because I'm going to go for a little bit more pressure. And I know my army is too small to really engage my opponents at this point. With force fields and stuff, and with their ability to chrono boost gateways, they should typically have an army big enough to beat this. So what I want to do is either try and do a lot of damage with the drop in the main, or try and do some damage at the front while he's distracted by the drop in the back of his main. And yeah, behind this, my 1-on-1 has started, and I should stick on this kind of infrastructure for a while here. Looks like I drop in the main, I snipe that initial zealot. I see his army is pulling back here, so I know my main force is free to move into the 3rd location to see what's up and try and get a cancel on this. And I see it's about halfway done, and this is really good timing for me because his units, as you can see, are all the way back in the main, and he's forced to cancel. And at the same time, I can bring back my drop into the main here to try and pull him back even more, and I wanted to get that pylon, in all honesty. I do miss micro it. If I didn't go back there, I probably would have gotten away with that, so that was a bit of a mistake. It would have been nice if I had gotten away with that. But at this point, I know his army is pretty big. I don't really want to risk trading with that yet, but I do stick around to kill a few probes and both assimilators. It's just nice to kill those because he has to rebuild them. And 75 minerals each isn't exactly a small amount to pay. And behind this, I'm not too comfortable going into the late game with the Protoss, so I do add 2 more barracks, but if you are more comfortable taking into the late game, you can add a 3rd command center at this point. But the fact that I add 2 more barracks means I have to be really aggressive with drops, as I'm doing like now. This just means he can't really secure his 3rd yet, and I'm pinning his units back, because if he was to go for an attack, that drop would do a lot of damage here. And as you can see, my other half of my army is still at the front here, posed in a pretty aggressive position. And behind this, I do probably want to start a 3rd command center here. There we go. Getting a cancel on my opponent's 3rd. I know he's trying to take it, so, and I know it hasn't started yet, so starting mine before his is really nice for me. As long as you're on equal or more bases than the Protoss, you're pretty safe. And at this point, with the Colossus out, I can't really engage this army, but looks like I do decide to take my chances here, which isn't the greatest idea. Like Marines alone, even they also don't have any combat shields, just not that great against this type of army composition. I kite back to the best of my ability, but I do lose a lot of forces here, which is kind of a waste. If anything, I should have waited for this drop to hit the main to try and do a double-pronged attack, but that was a bit of a mistake on my part. Not too big of a deal though. Looks like I see his stuff following my army, so I should get ready for a push, but at the same time I know that because he is pushing out into the middle of the map, this drop is going to be really annoying for him to try and defend. And at this point I am getting pretty much oversaturated on my 2 bases, so I really want to start landing that 3rd command center, but I have to keep in mind that this army is coming forward. My Vikings are pretty nicely timed here. They will pop out in time to try and take down this Colossus here. But to be honest, his army is pretty small, and without Zealots, like this composition isn't the greatest. Stalkers, just not that great against Marines. The Colossus is really nice, but with 2 Vikings out, I should be able to hold this. With the bunkers, it's actually pretty close. These Immortals are doing a nice job here. But I do pull some extra dudes, I believe, to repair this bunker, and I should hold this off. Yep, all of his units die here. Let's see if I get the Colossus. Yeah, that's really nice. Getting 2 Colossus kills like that is just really nice for him, because I know he's not going to have very many big splash units here. And looks like my drop in the back of the main forced him to pull all of his probes from his main, as well as his natural. So right now he's not mining very much at all, and that's really nice. Doing a lot of indirect damage there with that drop. I don't think I killed too many workers. I've killed 9 throughout this game, and that does put me at a lead, which is really nice as a Terran, because the Protoss does have Chrono Boost, and we'll be able to have a lot more workers than you out a lot faster. So having a worker advantage is always a good thing in the TvP matchup. And now with 4 medevacs out, I feel pretty safe to just constantly crank out the Vikings. 2-2 is on the way as well, pretty nicely timed. Actually, before my opponent, he's at 1-1 and doesn't have +2 coming out, so I'm feeling pretty nice. My 3rd base is down. I have 7 barracks worth of production, a starport. Ghost Academy is down as well, so if he does start to tech up the Templar, which is pretty likely, because that off the 3 bases with the extra gas, that's when the Protoss really starts to get all their tech out. He has 2 Colossus out, and Templar Archives is on the way as well. +2 armor out on the way. But as we said before, my upgrades are ahead, so that's really nice. And this is a pretty important upgrade as well, the Terran ship weapons. Into the late game, if your Vikings don't have that upgrade, they will take a lot longer to kill the Colossus, and it's pretty critical to kill your opponent's gas units really fast. And this double drop is queued to go into the main as I push forward with this main force. As I said before, adding those barracks early means I have a lot of units, means I can drop a lot more. And that's a really nice position for me to be in. It looks like I push his Colossus away, they can't engage alone, and I see most of his force pulling into the main here now, so I do move forward with my main force, but I see this pylon, he spots my army moving forward, so I just feeling pretty content to just take out this pylon and pull back, because at this point I don't want to engage this army. Do not want to engage this army with this army. This army is way smaller. Like, just taking into account a lot of stuff is back at home. I have a double drop separate as well, so this army engaging this would be a disaster. So instead of pushing in with my main force, I pull it back and land my drop into the main again and see what kind of damage I can get done. I snipe a few pylons, which is pretty nice. Like, you don't have to do critical damage, you don't have to snipe like a Templar Archives or something. Like, all you need to do is keep being annoying, snipe some pylons, pick off a few units here and there, and get away with the majority of your forces. A common mistake people make is to just commit really hard with your drops and lose them. But that just kind of doesn't do very much for you. Like, the Protoss is pretty happy to just kill your drops, and that means there's no possibility for a drop to come back as well, so your Protoss opponent feels a lot safer. As you can see, my Protoss opponent is in a pretty defensive position now. He has Archons out now, so my ghosts are timed up pretty nicely in terms of responding to his tech. It looks like he's actually moving out into the middle of the map, so he might get a bit aggressive here. And I do want to see his unit composition, so I think I scan pretty soon. Yeah, there we go. I scan, and I see his units moving down. I scan over here. I see his main force moving out, so I do set up a concave here. This is not really like a choke, but it is smaller than the area I have back here, so I do set up a nice little concave here. I have the ghost coming out as well, and with this drop landing in the back of the 3rd base, this is going to be pretty annoying for him. It's always nice to try and drop as your opponent is moving out onto the map, because that really stretches their attention away from the battle. and as you can see, it's really delayed his ability to push into my force. And at this point, my concave is amazing. I am pretty much maxed out. He's not really maxed out, so I do have a slight supply advantage here. His +3 as well as +2 is on the way. My +3 is going to finish before his upgrades, so I'm feeling pretty good into his upgrades. And looks like he is going to push in now. My Viking guy is looking really healthy at 9, and nice EMPs blanketing his army, really reducing the amount of health that his army has there. And looks like I take a clean sweeping battle here, and my drop is kind of maneuvering back and forth into the main and third, and looks like he's forced to GG out here. Yeah, that fight just went like so in my favor there, just because of my really good concave. My upgrades are really nice. Nice amount of tech as well. My Viking count was pretty healthy. I had at least 5 ghosts out when that fight happened. And so yeah, I hope you guys learned a lot, and I hope you guys try and use this build yourselves as well. It's really nice. Teja's one-on-one kind of pressure into bio, and hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you guys